Kim Kardashian opens up about the struggles she's facing raising 4 children. Admitting she even goes so far to lock herself in a bathroom to escape the chaos. The new episode of Hulu's The Kardashians, entitled "This Is Going to Be Really Hot Tea," followed Kim as she was en route to jury duty, when she called a mystery friend and vented about her kids. The reality star, who was recently bashed for buying Janet Jackson's iconic If outfit, admits that she's a pushover and wishes she could be strict like her sister Khloe Kardashian, while revealing details about her chaotic home life. The episode transitions to Kim, who is still in jury duty, as Kim says in the car, "I'm tired already, but I've gotta get out of this. Tomorrow is my birthday. I still haven't been excused, and honestly, I have no idea why they would want to keep me, just knowing about how public I've been about my empathy towards the defendant's situation," Kim says in confession. Kim is in the car making a phone call to someone, asking, "Hey, can I vent for 1 second? It's been an extra troubling week where I was just like I can't do it anymore. Anything in that home is just chaotic right now. Oh my god, no, what I wanted to say was I had a Zoom at the house with all my kids there, banging on the door, just screaming, and I was literally hiding in a bathroom with the door locked as I was just like, I can't believe this. I mean I can believe it, but that's like my biggest nightmare," she says to this mystery person. She adds in confession, "Sometimes it gets just like a little intense. I want to be more strict like Khloe, but I don't know why I have a hard time just saying no is no. I think I also just don't want to deal with the whining and the tears of not getting their way." She tells the mystery caller that she's open to anything at this point, because I just can't live like this, like I've ran out of my patience, and that what my superpower was, calm and patience. Kim adds in confession, "They know when to con me and when to throw the little, start with the tears, so I'm like, stop, sure, take an iPad, just stop. I just have to be like, I don't care if you're gonna throw a tantrum in front of everyone right now." The answer is no, Kim added in confession. She tells the mystery caller, "I don't have that support and that really sucks, and I know I really have to get it together." She continues in confession, "I'll always be there for my kids and I'll ride out anything with them, but to say that it doesn't take an emotional toll sometimes, would be lying. This is so hard for me this week in that area," Kim tells the caller, while adding in confession, "Managing 4 kids and a household where they're not getting and they all want different things and I'm only one person. This always shuts them up. I always say, okay guys, do you want me to just cut myself in halves or in 4s and a part will go with you and a part will go with you? And they look at me like, no, don't ever do that. And I'm like, well okay, that's the only option if you all want me at the same exact time. We've got to chill. I'll put everyone to bed at a different time. We have to space this out." She adds on the phone, "I took her phone after a day I gave it to her. I'm such a pushover, but I took it for 24 hours. Kim arrives at her destination and she ends the call with the mystery person. The episode begins with Khloe Kardashian arriving at her mother Kris' house to talk about Kim's birthday that's coming up. "It's birthday season. I came here to talk about Kim's birthday. I don't love being the birthday planner, but I'm a control freak because I know it will get done in a way Kim wants it done." Khloe takes a seat in her mother's massaging chair and Kris adds, "That thing was so strong and fabulous but my legs were getting squished." Khloe asks why and Kris says, "I think I have a circulation problem and I really have ringing in my ears constantly." Khloe says in confession, "I absolutely love my mom, but I feel like every other day or every other week, I'm getting a text or a phone call of her just complaining of another ailment that's on the rise." Kris tells Khloe, "I think I'm probably losing my hearing," as Khloe responds, "Mom, stop it," though Kris persists. "It's a very monotone and it's very consistent and it never changes," Kris adds, as Khloe responds, "Noise." Kris adds, "It is a noise," though Khloe keeps saying the slangish term for nice, as she finally catches on. Khloe continues in confession, "And with the amount of yachts my mom has traveled on, maybe she has some water stuck in her ear." Kris continues to tell Khloe, "But I have a ringing in my ears 24/7, as Khloe explains, "Do you know that there's an actual background hum in this room?" Kris responds, "Mine goes with me everywhere, in any room," as she explains in confession, "That frequency, it's like hey," while making a high-pitched sound, adding, "And it doesn't stop." What does that mean? Is it always gonna be there? Is there a solution? Is there a cure? I mean, there's all these unanswered questions. Does it get louder? Do you lose your hearing? Kris tells Khloe, I'm hoping that Corey will be just as attracted to me when I have a hearing aid and I don't even have any hair to cover it. Khloe retorts, you don't need a hearing aid. Kris' mother, MJ, doesn't have a hearing aid. Your mother, knocking on 90, doesn't have a hearing aid, and she's as, like, what? Smart as a whip, or what is the expression? Bright as a tack, Kris retorts, though Khloe asks, what? Why is a tack bright? That's not the expression, when Kris finally finds it, sharp as a tack. Bright as a light, sharp as a tack, yeah, Kris says, as Khloe says in confession, my mom is the queen of effing up phrases, and not in a good way. Kris asks, do you hear that buzzing? But Khloe motions to the vibrating chair and says, wow, you got this, I believe in you, while Scott Disick arrives at Kris' house. Kris reads from her phone, 85,000 people got rid of this infuriating ringing noise and reclaimed their health, as Scott yells, hello while walking through the house. Adding, I said hello. When he isn't answered the first time. Kris keeps reading from her phone, a dangerous activity happening inside a tiny part in my brain, hello, while Khloe tells Scott to take his shoes off. If untreated, dementia, Alzheimer's or Parkinson's could be in my future, Kris says, while Scott asks what she said and Kris says, I can't hear. Let me tell you something, you're looking young, Scott says, continuing to pepper Kris with compliments, but when she adds again, I can't hear, Scott screams and Kris jumps, as he says, your ears are fine. Scott sits in the massage chair as Khloe asks him, Scott, you're gonna stop losing weight, right? You look amazing but maybe like 3 more pounds, Scott says softly, as Khloe reacts, 3? Oof. But honestly, I had no idea how horrible it was, what I was doing at night, eating those little bread things, what are they? Kylie loves them too, she always keeps them in the car, as they realize he's talking about Hawaiian rolls. I was pounding a whole box of them a night, I love them, Scott admits, which stuns Kris and Khloe, as Scott adds, but I didn't realize what I was doing, and then I didn't know the whole thing about ginger ale being the same as a soda. Kris exclaims, what? Scott says, I know, it just seemed like a soothing drink so. As Khloe asks, so every night you would have a ginger ale? No. All day I would drink gingers. I was going through 20 gingers a day. Scott says as they get down to business and discuss Kim's birthday. So it's about that time that it's birthday season. So Kim's is coming up, then it's Halloween, then it's Kendall's, then it's Kris. I'm a effing control freak, Khloe says, as Scott mentions, you are everything. You're a control freak and beautiful. Khloe mentions in confession, I 100% am a control freak and I find that to be a beautiful compliment, so thank you very much. Khloe continues, so I sent everyone the RSVP email, lifers, the Milan chat, all the siblings, all the girls, before saying she has to go to her kids' first hip-hop dance class. Khloe adds that Saturday is ballet and this is hip-hop, as Scott says, well it was great seeing both of you young girls, you look great. Kris shows them Kendall shooting a Tommy Hilfiger campaign in her backyard right now, as Khloe says, that is so cute. She is quite spectacular. The episode transitions to Kim, who gets into a waiting car and says it's too late for her to get breakfast. She adds in confession, it's my birthday week, and on top of everything that I've got going on, I've been called to do jury duty, and I can't get out of this one. Kim reflects in the car, I wonder what kind of like OJ thing I can say, I feel like there is some kind of OJ connection that will get me out of jury duty, admitting in confession, just kidding. She adds in confession, but I think it's fascinating, the process, and I think it's a duty that we owe. I respect that, but it would be really hard for me to convict someone, knowing the conditions they were going into, because I don't think that prisons are really set up to be rehabilitation centers. I would want to serve, but it would be hard for me to make that decision. Kim adds in the car with a laugh, I told my kids I would go to jail if I was late, I had to hurry, as she adds in confession, also just I don't have time for this st. I am a single mom of 4 and it is wild. They show some flashback footage where Kim says, right when I think I have 2 minutes just to wash my hair, Mom. And they open the door to the shower. Back in confession she says, I almost feel like my kids have this radar where they know that I'm doing something really important. She shows an example, a confession shot where her son Saint interrupts saying, they have Kobe shoes at the mall and falling off the confession couch. Kim jokes, I thought I was gonna end up on an episode of Snapped yesterday, before adding in confession, I don't know why I don't have it in me to be super strict. None of my parents were strict. Chloe is a lot better at being stricter. I wish I was more like that but, you know, I'm just one person and it's overwhelming. Just how do I go about doing this all? The episode cuts back to Chris' house where she welcomes Kendall and her friend Hannah Cohen, as Chris says, I'm so glad you guys are here. Big crazy night. Chris explains in confession, Kendall is a huge Golden Bachelor fan. She's absolutely obsessed with Jerry. She is beyond glued to the TV every time it comes on, so, I asked them if they could arrange a dinner with Jerry the Golden Bachelor. By the way, I'm a huge fan too. Can't be more excited. Chris tells Kendall and Hannah, guys, he probably just got engaged, as Kendall says, I know, which, good for him, I hope he did. Kendall adds in confession, my mom, of course in her Kris Jenner ways, figured it out, pulled some strings with Disney and Hulu and got Jerry to come over for dinner, while the season is airing, which is really special. Kendall admits to Chris and Hannah, I think this is the most excited I've been in a really long time, while Hannah asks, have you heard that there's a lookalike? Yeah. Literally it's you and Dad, Kendall explains, while they show pictures of two of the contestants who bear resemblances to both Caitlyn Jenner and Kris. Kendall asks if she's up to date, which Kris says she is, while Jerry's car arrives, as Kendall wonders, do we want to know if he ends up? Like we don't have to say who, or like ruin it, but like, are you with someone? I kind of want to know, as Jerry arrives. Kendall gives him a hug and says, it's nice to meet you, before Kris gives him a hug as well, adding, we're your biggest 3 fans in the world. Jerry adds, well, my daughters are your biggest fans, as Kris asks where his phone is, saying they have to do a FaceTime. Are they awake? Jerry adds with a smile, well I don't know how to do that, as Kris takes the phone and asks where their numbers are. While they're setting it up, a text comes through, and Hannah says, we don't want to read his texts, as Kris jokes, we don't? Maybe we do, as they set the FaceTime up. Mark my words, by the end of this dinner, I will absolutely know who the winner is, Kris boasts in confession. They all go to sit down as Kendall adds in confession, I can't even lie. This feels good right now, as Kris starts peppering Jerry with questions.